Hi everybody, I figured I should do an introduction video to YouTube because I'm almost at I think I'm getting to 4,000 subscribers and I'm almost at my watch hours, so I feel like I should kind of do an intro video to answer some questions.
Warning, I will be speaking about sensitive topics regarding my transition and recovery. Viewer discretion is advised. Thank you.
I know when people come across my family and I, their number one thought is probably curiosity, and I personally think that's normal. I just ask that people are respectful. I know we have kind of a different family dynamic. I'm a trans man. I was born a girl. I know some people don't like that terminology, but I believe that I was born biologically female, or primarily biologically female. I transitioned to male. I think it was 6 or 7 years ago. I was 26. I am 32 now. I think I'm 32. But yeah, so I've had top surgery. I was on hormones. I had to go off them because I had liver issues on them. I'll get into that later. But I just wanted to address some of the commonly asked questions I get, just to kind of give you more of an idea of who I am, what I stand for. I don't know. I mean, most of my videos are just cooking videos, family videos, so I guess I stand for being full and being a family man. I don't know. Okay, so number one question, obviously, what are your pronouns? He, him, but I have not passed. I've been a trans man that doesn't pass, which passing means, in public, I don't pass as a cis man. Most people think that, I'm a masculine lesbian. That used to bother me a little bit. It doesn't anymore. I come, honestly, from a long line of, masculine lesbians. I have a lot of, LGBT people in my family, and, I'm proud now that, I come from a line like that, so to be compared to them, is an honor for me now. So I'm not, I don't get bent up over it. Also, I feel like life is short, you know what I mean? So why, why debilitate myself over something I can't change? Why not just accept life as it comes? So I don't get super offended if people misgender me and stuff. I would ask that people, try to stay respectful and stuff and respect my wishes. However, I think intent is everything, and I don't think people mean intentional harm because they call me a girl, a female, a she, whatever. Okay. So another common question I get asked is your son your biological son? Yes, my son is my biological son. He is not my husband's biological son. His father was in his life, well, I'd say more so in and out, for pretty much his whole life up until he was 7 and his dad passed away. His dad had some struggles or whatever. So he did have a father figure in his life. But I am his biological mother. When I got pregnant with my son, I was not in a good place at all. I had no business having a child. I'm glad I did because I love my son and I can't picture life without him. But it was definitely not the ideal position to have a kid in. But I got my life together. I've been sober almost 9 years. My son's 9 years old, so pretty much his whole life. I graduated a recovery program. I've maintained employment. I have, gosh, what else? I graduated college on the dean's list. So I did, I did everything I was supposed to. You know what I mean? And so now my son has a safe, loving, compassionate home, which, I strive every day to maintain. But yeah, when I had him, I was definitely not in a good place. Obviously, I struggled a lot with gender dysphoria. I also struggled really bad with an eating disorder. And so my recovery program entailed treating, co-treating all of that stuff, or not. It wouldn't even be co-treat because there were so many issues. I don't even know. But yeah, it did really help, and I still, I have a team of therapists, functional support, everything that I check in with. So yeah, that's the story on that. And a lot of people ask, does your son call you mom? Yes, my son calls me mom. And to be honest, he doesn't remember me before my transition because I started transitioning when he was very young. From what I gather, I don't really bug my son about these issues a lot, but from what I gather, he doesn't remember me at all back then. So this is just how he knows me. I know to other people looking at me and associating me with a mother is whoa, that's weird. To him, that's normal. I know a lot of people have an issue with that, and they, claim that, I am confusing my kid, and I'm sure that's a little confusing to have a mother that looks like a dude. But what my kid is not confused about is that he has a safe, reliable, compassionate, empathetic home, and those are the things that matter. Those are the things kids should not be uneasy about. So yeah, to me, that's what matters, and I'm sure that's what matters to him. But he calls me mom because my son is autistic, and he didn't even really start calling me anything until 5. First of all, he could have called me anything. I would have been thrilled, okay? One time my kid called me a fat bastard. I was fucking ecstatic. I was ecstatic, dude. Like, he could call me anything, and I would have been happy because he was talking, and, like, I was so happy. But my son calls me mom because, you know, his father referred to me as his mother. My parents did. School did. So he kind of picked up on that, and that's what he refers to me as. And I'm not going to change it, especially since, you know, first of all, I wouldn't change it anyways, but especially because, like, this is, I mean, it was so monumental for him to even speak. I would never be like, you know, oh, you need to completely change what you refer to me as. Like, I was just happy he referred to me as anything. Like, so I have no intentions of changing that. He can call me whatever he wants as long as it's respectful. At this point, back then, anything even disrespectful, I was just fucking thrilled he was talking. Yeah, what else? Let me think. So a lot of people have questions about my transition in general. I started transitioning, like I said, I think I said I was 26 years old. I was on hormones for about 3 years. My liver started to fail, so I had to discontinue. I guess I have to make it be known when I talk about liver issues on T that it doesn't happen to everybody, and God forbid I talk about my medical issues on testosterone, because then I will have, like, people zoom in and be like, you shouldn't be making it seem like everyone's gonna have medical issues. The reality is testosterone, there's a lot of effects that are irreversible. It's a very strong drug. I am glad that it was available to me. I'm glad it's available to those who need it. However, let's not pretend that it can't cause medical issues and that it's not like a serious physical, mental, and emotional investment, sometimes for the better, for some, not so much. And so, yeah, I had liver issues, and I could have continued, honestly, but I don't want my liver to fail. My life is important to me. My son's life is important to me. Like, I have to live for my child, but I also have to live for me. And so I decided to discontinue, but I did have top surgery. I have other videos on here about that. My top surgery I chose to get was a little unconventional because I left fat in my chest, because I'm bigger. I'm a bigger dude, so I figured, like, it went with my body composition more. But I did have top surgery. Now I just kind of live as a trans man who doesn't always pass in society as male. But I feel like I've done a good job at integrating, making a name for myself in both online and, like, the broad spectrum, you know, and also in my community. You know, people know more now, and they're more accepting, and I'm really proud of myself for doing all that work, because it is, you know, not always easy getting out there and telling the vulnerable parts of your story, especially when, you know, like, your neighbors are going to hear it, like, people you come into contact with in every situation is going to hear it. But I'm glad that I did it. Okay, so a lot of people ask, do I have any plans, you know, further in my transition, like surgeries and stuff? Honestly, not really. When I had top surgery, when I have a heart arrhythmia, it's separate, it's non-fatal or anything. It's just like, it's not really a serious arrhythmia. But when I got top surgery, the anesthesia triggered a response with my arrhythmia, and that really scared me. I wasn't scared when it happened because I was, like, kind of out of it, but looking back, that was very scary, so I do not think I will pursue any surgeries unless it's, like, you know, kind of a life-threatening, non-option situation, you know what I mean? I just can't risk it. So what else? I guess I can talk more about my family dynamics. So, like I said, I have a 9-year-old son. He's autistic. He is a fucking riot. Like, I don't show him on social media anymore. But he's the light of my life, but he is just so freaking funny. He is like everybody that meets my son, like, teachers, like, peers, everybody, they're like, you know, he is so funny. Like, he's so spontaneous. He's just so funny. I have a lot of stories of the funny, chaotic things he does on here. I'm so proud that I raised a kid that has such an awesome sense of humor, and he's just very empathetic, and he's just a really cool kid. Yeah, so he's my biological son. And then I met my husband. I actually met him when my son was like 3 or 4, but we didn't actually start, like, dating in person till my son was like 5. So he's been my son's stepdad for like 4 years now. Yeah, I honestly have the best husband. He's just so kind, compassionate, like, handsome in my opinion, and he's just a really awesome person, which leads me to the next thing that people are so curious about, and that is your husband gay? A lot of people will make comments, I think, trying to like throw shade at me, like, oh, your husband must like dudes, thinking like I'm just a masculine woman. My husband does like men. Yes, my husband is gay. That's, why he's with me. Not only why, but like he wouldn't be with me if he didn't like men. And I get that that's like a gray area for some, in my opinion. Even if I don't pass as male, I mean, like, I'm big, I'm covered in tattoos, I'm, like, bald, and you'll say, oh, but those aren't characteristics of just men, and you're right, but I'm a very masculine-looking woman, if you want to call me a woman. Where I grew up, if anyone ever thought, like, when I was growing up and I looked like this, minus the tattoos, like, if anybody thought I was attractive, a dude, like a cis man, like, they would automatically be considered, like, fruity because I look very masculine. If people want to consider me in a straight marriage, I mean, I guess you can. I don't, I don't know. It doesn't really affect me any. It's just, I don't know. I guess where I grew up, and, I guess I just see it a lot differently. I don't really know. So anyways, but yeah, my husband honestly is just like the sweetest person ever. I am so lucky to be married to him, and he's so great with my son. It worked out perfect because, well, when I met my husband, he was actually, at a training facility for building construction technology. That was his main trade, was like construction. But before that, he had worked as a respite worker. And his main client was somebody who was autistic. And so that actually is so weird because, like, what are the odds? But it's been good because, like, he understands a lot of things that I think a lot of other people, like, when I did try to date people before that, they just didn't get, and they just weren't built for it. Like, this life, you gotta be built for, and my husband's built for it, so that's good. So one thing I'm so excited to talk about, I know other people aren't as excited to talk about this aspect of my life as I am, but I love it. I'm a farmer, I'm a poultry farmer, I love birds. Honestly, I run a no-kill farm. Like, I do not process them. I've had to kill birds before, but, that's only when there's no other option, when it's ethically necessary. I primarily use them for eggs, and even if they didn't lay me eggs, I'd still keep them because I just love birds. I love them as pets. I have about 20-something chickens, and I have 10 ducks, and I love birds. Birds are something that, it's like my hobby, raising birds, hatching birds, and so that's a part of my life that I'm really proud of and that I love showing off. Let me think. What else do I get asked a lot? A lot of people want to know about bottom surgery. No, I will not pursue that because, like I said, how do we go from birds to bottom surgery? I'm just going through the questions in my head that I get asked on a daily basis. I will not pursue bottom surgery, and that is because, like I said, when I woke up from top surgery, my heart had issues. Oh my God, from what I've seen, and I'm not like, I don't like when people say things like, the results are awful, blah, blah, because I don't agree. I actually think they've come such a long way in bottom surgery for trans men, but I know there's multiple surgeries involved, and I don't think that would be safe, and I'm just not for me. And also, this is another thing I talk about. You'll hear me talking about a lot. Is I'm HSV2 positive, which means I have genital herpes. A lot of people are shocked when they hear that come out of my mouth, that I'm so open about it. But I've been being open about this for about 7 years now. I remember when I was first diagnosed, I literally thought my life is over because I'm like, dude, I'm a fucking trans man. Like, it's already hard to date, and now I got like genital herpes. Are you kidding me? And I literally went home and online in front of everybody, all my friends, all my family. I wrote a status saying that I had it, and I expected the response to be horrible, and it was not. People were very supportive, and I got reached out to a lot of people that were like, hey, thank you so much for speaking out, because, like, I've been so, like, ashamed about this, the stigma really eats at me, and so it felt so good that I could help people, and so I've been speaking out about it ever since. But because I have that diagnosis, I don't think it would be very smart for me to go through with bottom surgery, also because of, like, infection rates and stuff. I had a nurse I spoke to who, like, she actually, like, worked on a ward, like, not with female to males, but male to females, and she said it does pose, like, a higher infection risk. I know you can go on, like, suppressants and stuff, but they don't always work for me, so I just don't think it would be a good idea. Another question I get asked a lot, do you work? I have actually had my own business for about, it will be almost a decade now, actually. Wow. I mainly do HVAC consulting. However, honestly, lately, the work hasn't been as good, so I've been focusing more on social media. Honestly, I make more in social media a lot of the time, which that is very hard for me. I know I'm not trying to sound ungrateful because I'm so grateful I have these opportunities, but I get so nervous relying on social media as a main source of income because I don't feel like it's very reliable. And so that makes me nervous, and I'm hoping that my other job will pick up again. I had been thinking about getting a job outside of the home. I don't think that that will happen, honestly, because not only do I have my son, like, he's in school all day, so that's a form of respite. Like, he's gone like almost 8 hours. But my parents are older. They require kind of, or they're starting to require more and more care. And I don't think that with my parents, the farm, the how, everything, like, I don't think that I'd be able to work outside of the home. So, I don't know. I'm in limbo with this right now. A lot of people ask me about how my son reacted overall to my transition. I know I'm jumping all over the place, but I'm just thinking in my head, like I said, of questions that I get asked a lot. So this question, I never want to answer this because, like, people are just waiting. Like, they'll find any reason to, label trans people as horribly disgusting things, especially when it comes to raising children. And my son, when it came to my initial transition, I didn't honestly really talk much about it because he was so young. I didn't really want to burden him with a lot of it. When it came to, like, my surgeries and stuff, I had to say something. I couldn't not say anything because I was going to be recovering and stuff. And so I remember I enlisted. So he had like a team of like therapists and stuff, like for, like speech therapy. At the time, he was an ABA. I don't condone that anymore, but he was an ABA. So he had like a whole team of therapists, and I consulted with everybody. I'm like, how do I approach this with my son in like an age appropriate way? Like, what do I do? And they told me, and also I sought out, there's this group, it's so cool, it's called Ask Me I'm Autistic, and only autistic people can answer for like 24 hours. So I asked them as well. Everybody, the whole consensus was, be honest, be straightforward. So I said to my son, I was like, listen, I just need to talk to you and tell you something. I'm, transgender, and I just explained it in a very, straight and narrow way. And he literally was like, cool, I want pizza. Completely unfazed. Now that he's older, he understands a little bit more. It's not something, I mean, he asks questions. Like, I mean, I think that's normal to be curious about, like, like, he's very curious how I was born. Like, he's very interested in that. He's very interested to know, like, what was your name? Can I see pictures of you? Like, he's very interested in things like that. I think it's normal for him to be curious about those things, and I don't think it's, like, inappropriate for him to ask those things at all. And yeah, I just try to take it day by day with him, and, it's just, this is how he knows me. Like, like I said, I might be weird to associate with the term mom for a lot of people, and I get that. But to him, I've always been his mom. He's always had a bald, big, tattooed mom. So to him, it's just, and I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I don't really know what else to say about that. Like, obviously, I'm not my son, so I can't speak for him. But like I said, he comes from a home that he has multiple people that, love him, that are here for him, safe, reliable, kind. And to me, those are the traits that make you a good parent, regardless of how you identify or how you live your life, as long as, in terms of being a parent, you show up. To me, that's what matters, and I know that to him, that's what matters, because he's a very awesome and grateful and loving kid. So what else? Let me think. Oh, a lot of people ask how my husband and I met. We met on a dating site, and neither one of us had any intention on settling down, and that's because, I was trying to date. I was trying, but, I pretty much came to the conclusion that I was never going to find anybody to be with long term, because, with my son, having disabilities, like, a lot of people, when you tell them, like, I need you to understand, that there's a chance, and I would say it on the first date. I don't care, because I wanted people to know from the jump, this is my reality. If you don't fuck with it, get away. And I would say, like, you know, listen, I have a son who needs like extra care, and there is a great possibility he will live with me till I die. And a lot of them would be like, oh my God, that's so sweet. Oh my God, that's so sweet, you know? But then when they saw what really went into it, it was like, ooh, like they didn't know if they could like handle that, which it's good they, you know, skedaddled early on. But I kind of just like reserve myself to the fact that like I'm not going to find anybody, like this is just this is how it is, like whatever. My husband, he was in a training program, and once he graduated that program, he was going to advanced training in like this area in Maine that was so secluded. Like I mean, I don't even think you got cell service there, so you had to fly a plane to get there. So he had no intentions of settling down either. But we just kind of kept coming back to each other, and finally one night he was like, listen, I'm gonna find a way to drive to you. And he did. His friend had a car, and his friend let him take the car all the way 4 or 5 hours away, because I was far away. And the only thing open was a McDonald's, because except for bars, but like we're both sober. And so, by the way, if I'm not looking at the camera, the way I have it set up is weird. I'm trying my best. But he went all that way, and literally just immediately we clicked, and we've been together ever since. He opted out of advanced training. But yeah, everything, he's been living with me since not that day, obviously, but you know, but after we dated for a little bit in person, like, you know, he's been with me ever since. So yeah. Let me think. Oh, okay. So also, speaking of my husband, this reminded me I have to talk about this, because this is like a big subject in my you know, transition. I would say probably the most controversial too, which is so fucking ridiculous because it's my fucking life. But anyways, okay. So basically so it would be, I think, 3 years into my transition. Well, I found out I was having liver issues probably about 2 years, and maybe even before, but my liver got really bad at about 3 years. So that was when I was faced with, like, you know, okay, it's time to probably step back from testosterone. I had tried everything. I tried lower doses, I tried cycling, nothing was working. To me, it was just too risky to continue. So I decided to go off, and it was probably one of the hardest times of my life. And the only way I can explain it is, if you are given like something that gives you like what you feel is ultimate freedom, and each day, like, you can literally right in front of you visualize that freedom becoming more and more like just closer, with all of my changes that, you know, like a deeper voice, like facial hair. I shave my face now, but you know, I was like closer and closer to freedom, you know what I mean? And to have that taken away, it was devastating. Like, it was. I get that if you're not trans, you wouldn't understand that, but to me, it was devastating. And so for a little bit, I just stayed in limbo, a very short period. And I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to try to make it work. I'm just going to try to make it work without testosterone. I think a lot of this was in my head, because honestly, T did not do a whole lot for me. If you look at pictures of me before, I just look a little younger. There's not much it did for me. Well, my voice, no, it changed my voice. I should say that, it changed my voice.
I don't even know how to use Snapchat yet, but I do know that I'm cooler than anyone in my Ninja Turtle onesie.
That alone was worth it. It changed I used to have, I know my voice is somewhat feminine, but it used to be way higher.
Hey everybody, I'm just sitting here freaking out about this election.
But when I was faced with that, I ended up making the decision to detransition for a little bit. Now, I don't obviously mean medically, because I had already been off testosterone. You can still live as male without testosterone. I mean, I presented as a feminine woman with a king tattoo, by the way. I didn't. I look pretty hot. I look like Morticia. But yeah, I literally, by the way, I just have to flex in the pictures. I always have to do this. I was 200 pounds in these pictures, 200 pounds. And I was bald under there. So I pretty much look like this, but I transformed it. I'm just a chameleon. My friends joke that I'm in the witness protection program because I can transform so fast. But yeah, the reason, a lot of people are like, why did you do that? Why didn't you just live how you are now? And like, even if you didn't pass, just live as male. Because, you know, looking like I did when I first went off testosterone, like I had a full beard, like I was passing as male. And I really felt like I felt like changes were reverting in me. I don't think they were. I think a lot was in my head, but I was terrified of what was to come. And to me, presenting as feminine was like ripping off the Band-Aid. And a huge part of this is I grew up and I still live in a rural area. I love my community. You know, people are very kind and accepting towards my family now. It wasn't always that way. I think me being on TikTok and stuff has kind of progress that you know, route of them being more open-minded and stuff. But at this point I was really nervous because when I used to go out looking like this, like just even when I presented as a masculine lesbian, it was not always easy, and it wasn't just not always easy, sometimes it was dangerous. And I was very concerned that you know, my changes would start reverting, I'd start going out not passing, and I'd become a target again. And I don't have to worry about that as much now, but like I said, I think that's because everybody knows me now. When they did not, it was not good. And I'm talking like people don't get it, like, and I'm sure like this must be worse, like for POC. Like, I'm not saying like, you know, because I know that I have like some privilege in that area, I'm not stupid, but like, I mean, I remember like it being like just walking into a restaurant having people talk shit. Like, I remember like getting stalked at gas stations. Like, if I went into the store, couldn't even go to enter like a fucking Dollar Tree with my kid, you know what I mean, without people talking shit. Like, it was just horrible. And I was terrified of having to go through that again. And so I just ended up detransitioning and presenting as a woman, and even covered in tattoos, looking like that. I got less shit than I would have looking like this, I can promise you that. And it didn't last long, obviously. It lasted maybe a month and a half, and I just couldn't do it anymore. I remember my husband, because he stayed with me during that time. He stayed with me. My husband stayed with me, and he likes men, and he still stayed with me during that time. I didn't think he would, but he did. He was like, he made it clear that, like, you know, he didn't care. He wanted to stay with me, you know, because he was so drawn to me and everything, that he didn't care how I presented. Even now, he's like, you know, I know you're happier now, so I hope you stay how you are, but, like, he would stay with me no matter what. Yeah, I remember, like, one day, I literally, was in the car with him, and I broke down, and I started, like, crying, and he's like, are you thinking of transitioning back? Because he knew I was really struggling. And I said yes, and my husband is so sweet. He brought me to Walmart, and he bought me like a buzzer to shave my head. He bought me like all new clothes. He bought me even drawers, man. Like, he was so sweet, because I had transformed all of my male clothes into women's clothes when I detransitioned, because I don't have a lot of money, so I didn't have a lot of money to buy a new wardrobe. So that was so sweet of him to do that. So yeah, I've just been living, I mean, I guess as male. To me, see, it's just you guys, you say you're confused, man. I mean, my life, it's so many labels, and it's like, I just live as me. Like, I can't help what my brain sees me as. My brain sees me as male. I can't help that. That's just how it is. I can't change it. Nothing you say will change it. I've been in therapy since I was 6. I've been in documented therapy for gender dysphoria since 2018. Nothing helps. So I just live, you know, authentically now as who I am. And even if I don't fit the boxes of you or somebody else, that's okay, because at least I can live as me. You know, it really bothered me for so long that testosterone didn't work for me, that I couldn't pass, that I couldn't morph into, you know, presenting as a woman and feel okay, like just anything, you know. But I think this journey overall has really taught me just to be okay with being me, even if I don't fit in your box or society's box. That's fine. So yeah, I don't know. I think that's all that I have to say, really. I'm trying to think of anything else that I will think of something else, I'm sure. Wow, this video is already 30 minutes. It probably won't be when I edit it.